Welcome everybody to Peel the Onion podcast. Today I'm excited to be back. I'm 7 weeks in to a new motherhood, having given birth to a very, very beautiful little girl named Violet. I've been navigating a whole new world, one that you only, of course, learn and fully experience once you're there, just like anything in life. But my intention for today is to really share what I've noticed has come up for me in motherhood, and to be really authentic and real, just like this episode. This podcast is for also acknowledging any new listeners, new mamas, parents, existing listeners. I'm hoping that there is something for you to take away today. But the key themes are letting go of the shoulds and the pressure to get it all right, and really returning to peace in the heart and surrender as a constant. And I elongated that word for a reason. A constant practice. So let's dive in. So I'm really wanting to paint the picture and set the scene of becoming a mum. There's all this prep for birth, pregnancy, getting your body ready, your mind, your soul. Those who are more conscious on the journey are doing all the things, right? Manifesting their dream birth and getting all the support they need, doing all the rituals. Not that you need to do all that to have an amazing birth, but from my experience, it definitely gifted me. It was part of gifting me what I had dreamed of. I had a very, very, very moving birth, one that was transformational and at home and deeply loving with my husband, and quite efficient for my first birth. I mean, I was in labour overall from the first contractions for 10 hours until I gave birth at night. And baby girl Violet was born on the winter solstice, made her way at 6:31 that morning in the birthing pool in the centre of my home. It was such a powerful experience to witness my body changing and expanding, and really the word that best describes it is shattering. And it was intense. The surges I've never experienced before, so as any new experience, that comes with a lot of physical sensation. There was a lot of intensity, but a lot of internalization, don't even know if that's a word, and breath, and coming back to surrender and trust and gratitude really helped me stay in a bliss bubble and in my own energy, not fear, not doubt, not worry or force. It did come, but I saw it come and then I let it go. And then postpartum came. Literally the next day it all just started. We had this little human here on Earthside, and as a mum I had to, of course, start feeding my baby, and I'd never breastfed before. So we started breastfeeding, and there were challenges, massive challenges. We had challenges with latching, so then we had to get nipple shields. My baby was born really small, not too small, but on the lower side, 2.5 kilos. So then there was immense pressure to put weight on her and to feed her constantly, because she'd get tired from latching, even though she was still hungry. So there was all this, I call it a newborn portal or parenthood initiation. My husband and I just switched on this whole other gear that, didn't know existed, and we just persevered. And I was pumping on one boob, I was feeding Violet on the other, then we tube feed her because her mouth was so teeny. after that with top-ups, and then use the express milk for another feed, and it was constant. We'd have to wake her up. I was constantly feeding. I didn't sleep after 30 years of really great 9-hour sleeps. It was a whole shock to my whole system to not sleep, to not have deep sleep. And I mean, I always heard about sleep deprivation, but when you become a parent, but man, that was a big shock. My hormones, recovery from birth, I'm grateful my birth was smooth, but still my body was so sore, just coming back down or together from that massive expansion of welcoming in our baby girl through my body. And I was sore all over. I'd ache and my energy would just be so focused on feeding my baby. And thankfully I manifested a beautiful support team from early on. Our community would give us lots of food, and I had people come over to help with the house when my husband needed to go back to work, so I could just stay with Violet and focus on feeding and napping when she napped. So my recovery was more swift and less struggle. But a lot did, of course, come up. There was a lot of grieving. I mourned so much of my past self, my maiden self, as I call her. That brought me to Mother Liv and honouring of her, but letting that grief come. I'd cry in the shower often, or cry with my husband, and I'd have moments of like, wow, this is huge. Like, I brought a human in the world, we've made her, and now she's here, and my whole life is different, I'm different. So I really had to ride those waves, and I'm grateful I did, because it meant that, my recovery, I believe, was more swift indeed, emotionally and spiritually and mentally. But as I've noticed in my life and on the journey of elevating consciousness within me and globally, I really have felt how much noise there is in parenting and breastfeeding and being a mum and raising a child, a conscious child or a securely attached child. And I, hand on heart, got swept into that. I was drenched really in the noise of what's right and what's wrong, and you should do this and you shouldn't do that, and what about this and what about that. But I consciously also reached into that vortex because I wanted to hear from those around me with new babies what their experience has been, and find comfort in their experience but also insight. And that's how I've always naturally learnt what's most aligned to me is first gathering information. It's like learning a new skill, right? You gather it all and then bring it all together, you synthesize it, and then you discern or sift through, that's a nice word, what you want to keep and what you don't. So it's a process, and then you add on sleep deprivation, hormones, recalibrating body organs, recalibrating, and constantly breastfeeding, which is, by the way, so demanding on the body. I've been eating like double what I used to eat, and I've always been a big eater. I mean, I'm Italian Spanish background, so I've been blessed with good food, but man, it really is huge. So then to add the other layer of the shoulds and getting it right, it brought up deeper wounds, or I'd like to say my shadows around perfectionism and needing to always get it right and putting pressure on myself if I don't, and being so hard on myself if I don't get it right, until I hit this moment where it was just constant, this cycle, and it was so heavy and I could feel it and I knew it wasn't serving me. It just felt really dark. And thankfully I was able to create space in between naps, Violet's naps, where I journal and reflect and use my tools that I've used for many years to help me integrate, to help me land, to help me stabilize everything that I was learning rapidly and still am. But I needed the constant pauses and the sitting, the meditations, even if it was 2 minutes, and going down to the water after a full day of being with my baby when my husband got home, just to breathe. And with all those tools, circling back, I was able to see that there really is no right or wrong in terms of how you want to raise your child with their sleep, with their feeding. We're told that we should feed them on both boobs and for 10 minutes minimum, max 15. And I tried that all. I was doing that, and it wasn't aligning. I wasn't myself. I felt like I was in this box that wasn't supporting or uplifting me, and I just knew that something had to shift. So I'd just write what I'd learn every day about being a mom and Violet, and changing and being flexible, surrendering. It was just constant, adapting at a very rapid pace. I mean, I've had some very big journeys or hurdles in life, and becoming a parent has been definitely one of the biggest, but the most quickest in terms of how fast you learn. And what seems like a challenge on the day, you then realize how quickly you move through it the next day. It felt like ages ago. So it's this whole time warp, transmuting extra quickly type of vibe I've found. But through reflection, naturally what came up was, is this mine or not, or inherited? Has this been projected onto me because of what's worked for other people and their babies? And coming back to, my baby is a unique soul as the neighbor's baby. Every child, every human is different, diversity for a reason. So it clicked, and from that moment it's been an unraveling of, okay, what do I choose? Knowing this is new, and I've literally got a human in front of me that I'm growing with my own body, literally outside of me now, not inside of my belly. It's outside through my breast milk. So it's a whole other ball game of commitment and devotion to decisions, like needing to show up really in the moment and choosing kindness. And I'm not going to lie, that's been hard for me to come back to, returning to that compassionate part and asking myself, what would kindness do right now? I try to remember that every day when I am challenged in different ways. Some days are easier than others. Some mornings are easier than other mornings. Literally, it's always changing in the newborn portal. But I do want to talk more to the concept of being in the present, bringing presence to every moment. In general, I've found has been anchoring and supportive, even in the unpleasant moments. It's helped me stay more in my heart and not tap out. I mean, I've had moments where I have dissociated, but with presence, I wrote a sentence around the decisions we make and the choices we make in the moment, there and then, through being fully here now, is what is aligned. Let's say an example is you feel the call to call a family member, And you call a family member knowing that that was the call in the moment, and then that call ends up being really draining and not supportive in any way when that's what you needed. So you jump off the call and you feel so drained, and you notice your mind then starting to say a story. Okay, you should have already known better, or why would you do that? You know that they're like that, etc. So there's judgment, there's pressure, there's the shoulds. And that story is so common in humanity because it comes from a lack of self-love and self-compassion, which comes from, I believe, the wounded feminine and that inner child, the needs that haven't been met from early on. So it goes to the critical side and the blaming of you when it's got nothing to do with you. So I decided to flip that. I started to notice, I'd catch it. It wasn't overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. But in this new role that I've been in, it took a whole new layer of work and strength. I mean, maiden live pre-mama life, I felt like I had these things unpacked, but now it's a whole new layer. It's like re-meeting the new parts of you again and again. It's that cycle, it's that spiraling, it's constant. So here I was in this spiraling of the judgment and the critical inner talk that was constant, was really constant. And I've heard it is common amongst many mothers. But what really helped the shift was that wisdom and the knowing of, actually, that's what I decided in that moment, that it was right to call that person. But now I know not to do that, so I've learned. So keeping joy from the decision made, but not turning it against yourself afterwards. I've used that as a little mantra now of, okay, that's what I decided, and I trust that that is divine and aligned, even if it's not a pleasant outcome. As humans, we're constantly seeking pleasure and pleasant experiences. That's just very innate within us all, but life isn't all pleasant, and that's the reality. There's all the colours, and we need all the colours so we can evolve and grow and become wise and really learn key lessons that we're here to learn each individually. Yes, that still gets me sometimes too, where I'm like, oh, why? But that's where the presence piece comes back. Okay, I'm alive. Let me fully feel this. It's moving through me. The more I resist it, the more it's hanging around. So what if we met more of these moments of kindness instead of criticism? Asking yourself how that would shift things for you in the moment, but also in your life. And energetically, how that changes your field. Naturally, people come into contact with you and feel more of your grace and your joy. And that's a ripple out into the world to create more love and more light, which is elevating consciousness. And I know many of us are already doing that. For me, coming back to it more swiftly, there's always a layer, but doing it with joy rather than obligation and stress. It's like, how can I keep growing with enjoyment and pleasure of it, not pressure? Another condition area I believe we experience, it's like the only way we do well is that hard work, that hustle, that pressure. But no, it's actually all a lie. So my invitation really is, where are you putting pressure on yourself right now? Whether it's in motherhood, parenting, even in your job or relationships, catching where you're putting pressure versus trusting the flow of life and being fully present in the here and now, knowing that that's all you need. And yes, that again takes time for the mind to adjust and to learn. It's a constant practice of embodying that. But how can you bring more lightness or flexibility to that space that you tend to put pressure on? What does that look like? Unpacking that can be very simple. It might be even making more cups of tea, stepping outside for 2 minutes to breathe in fresh air, and celebrating, good job, I've done that. I really encourage everyone listening to create space to reflect and affirm that your way of recalibrating, and for those who are parents, ways of raising your child is enough, and only you know, and only you're the only one that's raising them, so why should anyone else tell you what to do? I want to express my love to all parents, especially new mothers who are listening. I see you. I've never felt so connected to you and all mothers before until I gave birth to my daughter. And I feel deeply moved to be in this role of service. And I also feel that there is more support that's needed, which was my intention in sharing my experience of being in this new role. And I want to remind all those that are listening that you're not alone, and you're always doing the best job that you can and that you know in the moment. Really, truthfully. I'm planning to share more about my journey and my insights in this era of mine as I navigate motherhood. So please subscribe for more heart-centered episodes, and reach out on my Instagram at awakened_MBS. Drop me a message if you have any feedback or comments, or even shares from what I've shared. I'd love to hear what's been helpful, and know that we're all really in it together. So thank you for tuning in today, and drop the shoulds and turn more into your heart in every single moment. Just using your breath, breathing into your heart space, imagining a beautiful breath of white light or even air coming in your heart space and exiting out the back of your heart, releasing what's no longer yours or serving you. And with that, goodbye everyone, and chat soon.